Right then, welcome back to the channel. We're going to do the play ratings. We're going to delve into the stats about every single player because sometimes in the reviewing in 5 things, we miss those things out. So stay to the end and let me know your thoughts. I want to know your ratings and all that sort of stuff, whether you agree, whether you disagree, all that shit. I want to know in the comments. Let me know your ratings for these as well. So start with Onana in net, as we always do, and I'm giving Onana a 7.5. Not great accuracy again with his passing at 23 out of 33. He did make 13 long ball attempts. Only 3 of those found teammates. I don't know what's going on with his long balls at the moment, whether it's those receiving it, whether it's the timing, whether it's his technique on the kicking them, but just we are not winning those long balls, and that's where he's losing the ball. Short passes are fine, his composure is fine, and actually his shot stopping is fine as well. Leicester had a lot of chances and a lot of shots on target, a lot more than we did actually, and he was saving them. You know, he had a couple of quick reflex saves that made sure that even the half chances that they were getting were nullified. Leicester actually beat us on the XG, and we only had 3 shots on target and won 3-0. They had 5 and got nilled. The reason he got nilled, Andre Onana. So 7.5 out of 10 for him. Delo. I thought it was another poor showing, really, from Delo. I don't know if he's struggling with the role of the dual role of being the very offensive right back and sometimes getting back and doing it as well. His pass accuracy weren't bad, 24 out of 29, but he struggled in the duels, only winning 3 out of 15. He did win 4 tackles. He only lost possession 7 times, but it was a little bit of a mixed bag. There was some tenacious defending, but it was also sloppy at times as well when it came to both his marking. He was leaving gaps on the flank. Leicester managed to exploit those a couple of times. His inability in the duels left United's defence a little bit vulnerable and lopsided to a certain degree. And when Leicester pressed, his distribution was pretty good, actually, and he actually helped initiate some attacks by the timing and the placement of some of those passes. Positionally, it was sound, but he's got to improve in the duels, and maybe just a little bit more time of getting used to what's expected of you in that 3-2-5 build-up shape, because it does ask a lot of one player in particular, and it is that player in particular that does it. Matthijs de Ligt, I'm giving him an 8, right? 54 out of 58 passes, 4 clearances, 4 block shots. He did only win 1 out of 4 of his duels. Was a little bit limited in the air, but he's been very good in the air. But he displayed such what's becoming a trademark calmness. Didn't really put a foot wrong. Distribution from the back was precise. It helped us control play from deeper. Defensively sound. Little bit struggling with the aerial duels, but didn't really lead to any major issues for us. His defensive positioning and his anticipation. It's the anticipation as well, but he wins stuff quite high, and I think that's a massive positive for us. He's been reliable, and I think a little bit more aerial dominance, and he could have been with a shout for an 8.5 or a 9 out of 10, I think. Sandro Martinez, defensively an absolutely stellar game. 8 clearances, 3 tackles, and won all of his duels. 88% pass completion, which was 70 out of 80, and there were 7 long balls as well. So he was an absolute rock. He read Leicester's attack, and does anyone else absolutely flap because the way he defends? He's injured 4 times a game. And with his injury record, like, I shit it every time he goes into these things, but it's the way he plays. And you're not going to take that out of him. The aggression and the commitment lifts the rest of the defensive unit. His distribution is safe and precise and progressive. He's got really intelligent positioning. You know, he's got leadership when it comes to being a defender. This was a quintessential Lisandro Martinez performance, and he's going to be absolutely vital when it comes to Amorim coming in. So 8.5 out of 10. I thought he was great. Mazraoui. It's getting a bit boring talking about how good Mazraoui is, so I'm not going to do that. You know how good he is by now. And I saw the start of the weekend, which is he's the #1 tackler in the Premier League. Simple as that. He made 7 this weekend, 2 clearances. He had an 86% pass accuracy. He managed an assist for the second goal. He created several chances and 3 accurate crosses out of 5. He's just a fantastic footballer. His involvement in the attack is getting a little bit more prominent. It was a little bit limited. the early part of the season, but he's starting to maybe understand the role a little bit, understand the Premier League a little bit, and he's actually contributing offensively as well as defensively. The timing on his tackles is immense. His reading of the game is like black belt level. He wins such a high percent of his duels all the time. Every single game, it's like, oh, he's 13 out of 15 duels. He just crushes it. He's got defensive commitment, he's got attacking intent, and he's got intelligent play. I fucking love him. Simple as that. Let's move on. Casemiro. Casemiro won 9 duels, made 7 tackles, had 89% pass accuracy, contributed 2 key passes, and had several really, really key interventions to halt Leicester's counters. It's an 8 out of 10 performance. His positional awareness and his commitment to making defensive actions inside our box and actually on our byline is impressive for a player that we was all sure was finished like 2 months ago. I think the emergence of Ugarte and the settling in of Ugarte has really helped Casemiro. And together, they're like greater than the sum of their parts. They're playing fantastic, the pair of them. So he had some really effective ball recoveries. He was essential in breaking up some of the play. He helped United transition back into attack and in possession. Casemiro's on fire at the moment. And I think a large part of that is Ugarte. And on Ugarte had a great performance. 8.5 out of 10 Ugarte's getting, and I was so close to giving him a 9 as well. The only reason I dropped him half a point was that even though he was a monster in terms of duels, he was involved in so many. He won 10 duels, which you go, that's a lot, but he was involved in 19 because he competes. He competes all over the pitch. He had 8 successful tackles, which is the most on the team. He created a chance. His pass accuracy was 92%, which is massive for a player that we don't think is the greatest on the ball. It was a real commanding midfield display. There was technical ability. There was defensive robustness. He shown a real ability to win the ball back and distribute it, which is something that maybe has been a little bit lacking since he came in. There was obviously always the desire and the ability to go and press and win the ball high, and the defensive contributions have always kind of been pretty immense. But seeing him sort of relax and be involved in play, it's probably the most balanced performance that we've seen from him. And of course, the relationship that he's got with Amorim, he was probably going to be very important anyway, but at least he's coming into being important with a little bit of confidence and form, and that's got to be huge for us. Him and Casemiro just have to play together. They're both fantastic together, and I'm really enjoying seeing them. Bruno Fernandes. So 7 key passes. I was saying 6 yesterday. I was wrong. It's actually 7 key passes. He just creates chances for people. 5 crosses. He took 6 shots. He was involved. Defensively, he also made 6 tackles, which is still a hell of a lot of tackles. This was a great performance, a well-rounded performance from Bruno Fernandes. He was constantly pushing United forward. He was connecting Ahmad and Rashford. He scored 1 goal, but let's be honest, he fucking scored 2 goals, didn't he? Be real with ourselves. He lost possession 21 times. He made 7 chances. Who cares? That's what you have to balance up, and that's what some people don't get. When you're having that many shots, you're creating that many chances, you're being that impactful with the ball, you can lose the ball 21 times. No one gives a shit. Simple as that. His ability to set the tempo, keep the pressing intensity going was very, very good. It's a 9 out of 10 performance. Well done. Man of the match for me yesterday. Amad Diallo. So actually, one of his worst in possession performances, but maybe he's been encouraged to play with just a little bit more risk, because I think the one criticism I have of Amad at the moment is I actually don't want my wingers to have like 21 out of 22 passes. I want them to lose the ball. Like, you have to take risks to create chances. Now, Amad had 19 out of 26 passes, so it's not like he was like awful in possession. He had 6 dribble attempts and 5 of them were successful. His dribbling is a joke. And he contributed 1 key pass with that back heel, which is ridiculous. He won 11 out of 15 of his duels. How? Have you seen him? He's built like a pissing child. How is he winning so many duels? Mentality, dog in the fight and all that lot. Now, the energy, the creativity, the constant threat, the assist, it was intelligent, it was skillful, displaying the vision to get through Leicester's defence. Highly, highly effective in drawing in defenders because of that low centre of gravity dribbling technique. He creates space for others and he makes fantastic decisions when he's on the ball. His finishing lacked a little bit of composure. But it was a really strong performance out of Ahmad, and I'm going to say 7.5 out of it for him. Rashford. So as I mentioned in 5 things and in the review a little bit last night, a lot of people not happy with this. Now, it was a limited impact, but I thought it was all right. He played a lot more of a decoy. He was making runs off the ball. He's off the ball running, created openings for people. And he linked play quite nice, 23 out of 28 passes. He did only win 2 out of 5 of his duels. And I think one criticism of him you could have is probably needs to be involved in more duels, find himself involved in more duels. His presence on the pitch, I thought, kept Leicester's defence from being able to narrow in. It was a quieter game, but his positioning and link play allowed the likes of Ahmad and Fernandes to thrive. So I don't think it was anywhere near as bad as what people are saying. And I think it was all right. 6.5 out of 10. Hojlund. Now, this one's a little bit more of a contrast. So he did complete 11 out of 11 of his passes. And you're like, right, all right, that's a good thing. But he only won 1 out of 11 of his duels. And he only got a single shot off on target. Or actually, a single shot off full stop, actually. His lack of impact was quite evident. He's really struggling to get on the ball and influence the game in a meaningful way. And I'm not 100% sure the runs he makes are the right runs at the right time to the right areas. There's effort. There's movement. And he gets involved with physical duels. He's just coming off second best of him. I don't know if he's... trying to think of... Is he more of a Chicharito than a Mark Hughes? But he's playing like Mark Hughes or trying to play like Mark Hughes. I see him trying to hold the ball up and I'm thinking, I don't know if that's your game. I think your game is to run in behind. I think your game is more, Howland can hold the ball up, so he's probably not the great example. But you see Howland running in behind more than you'll see him sort of holding the ball up. He came off second best big time in all of those duels. Does the system isolate him? I'm not sure if it does because I know Xerxes comes and plays a little bit deeper, but he gets on the ball. It was a frustrating outing. It's a 5 out of 10, I think. If Amorim can get him making the right runs at the right time and get him scoring, there's some potency there, but doesn't feel like he's going to be able to do it. Garnacho. So Garnacho, not involved in a lot of passing. 6 out of 9, as you'd expect, coming off the bench. Scored a goal from just a 1 shot on target. 2 dribbles, both unsuccessful. And that's been a little bit of a criticism of Garnacho. That's the decision-making side, is knowing when and where the dribble is the right thing and the pass is the right thing. And I think that's the one thing that, when I look at Ahmad gets absolutely bang on. He's got such a high pass completion and such a high dribble completion. People are blinded by the amount of goals and assists that Garnacho gets. I think he's a fantastic impact player. And his goal was the perfect finish. It was a fantastic, real technical, perfect finish at the right time. He brings energy when he comes on. And he's allowed to capitalise on a tired Leicester defence because that's the way he plays. He plays with such a tempo. He didn't play with a lot of confidence last week, but he played with a little bit more. And the timing and the confidence was there to highlight there is an ability for him to be a very, very decisive impact player for United. He's just not ready to start just yet because the decision-making is not quite there with him. And I hope that you understand what I'm trying to say there with him. He does get goals and he does get assists. But when he starts, he generally doesn't have a good game. I think off the bench, he's such an asset. I just keep playing him off the bench for now. And sometimes he's going to have to start. But find the right game for him and see what you can do with him. Because there's a lot to like about him. But the decision-making has to evolve. Now, he's still young, so I'm not saying it's got to be perfect at the moment. But the decision-making has to evolve. Otherwise, we're not going to see a good player out of him in the future. Johnny Evans, actually one of his worst games with the ball. 14 out of 17, only 82%. He made 2 clearances. Pretty straightforward, composed performance once he came on. Wasn't heavily involved in things, but does what Johnny Evans does and keeps it steady with absolutely no fuss. Capable sub and had a hand in the clean sheet, so can't fault that. Christian Eriksen came on and did Christian Eriksen things, completed all of his passes, 12 out of 12, even got a key pass involved in there. That's literally what... If Christian Eriksen came in a tin, that would be what was on the side of the tin. Ball retention, chance creation. You don't normally get both in the same pack it, but you do with Eriksen. He did bring a bit of element of composure and control to midfield, which was probably needed. And even though he wasn't overly involved, the passing accuracy and the vision is what contributed to that sort of composure. The technical ability of him and his ability to dictate tempo is just fantastic. And I wonder if he's relishing the opportunity to play for Ruben Amorim, because I think he could be a big asset the way he has been. What a signing him and Johnny Evans have been for free. And that shows you what's out there. If you're not going to get a free transfer in January, obviously, but like, if you can be intelligent in the market, you can get some absolute bargains. You don't need to blow 80 million on Anthony every single time. Xerxes, he came on late, obviously. 7 out of 8 of his passes, didn't get a shot, and was involved in no duels. Overall, I thought United had a decent defensive stability. Even though we scored 3 goals, we only had 3 shots on target. It wasn't like a real dominant, all-out swashbuckling sort of attacking performance from us. It was a very solid win. Leicester, lack of precision, maybe helped United control the game. Some question marks about Hojlund's fit as the focal striker. If we move to a 3-4-3, he'll have 2 10s right off him. Would that aid and improve what he's trying to do? Would that require less of him to hold the ball up and more of him to be looking for those through balls in between the lines, off the shoulder of the last man? I think that probably plays to his strengths. If he starts scoring, United's chances of top 4 go up. And obviously, if he doesn't, they don't. But anyway, that's my player ratings. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and I will see you in the next one. Laters. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, 5-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.